Hello, and welcome to the first Town Administrator Update for the year 2021, where we get a chance to talk to Town Administrator Paul Sagarino about what's going on in and around town. Paul, thank you for joining us, and Happy New Year.
A happy New Year to you, Rich, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely, always a pleasure to talk to you. So I want to start off this month. We have town meeting coming up at the last week of January. So what are some of the big ticket items up this for this town's meeting session?
There's a bunch of routine items, Rich, but at least from the Board of Selectmen standpoint, there's a couple of major items. And the first is initiative to change the name of the Board of Selectmen to Select Board. That's a change that's gone on fairly recently in many of our neighboring communities, and we talked about it, and we felt that now is a pretty good time to affect that change here in Burlington. It's a change that requires 3 separate warrant articles. The name Selectmen is in our zoning bylaws, it's in our general bylaws, and it's also noted in our special act with the legislature. So there's actually 3 separate warrant articles to do what seemingly is a pretty simple change, from select board and select board members, to change it to that name. So
Right.
that's the first one. And probably the second one of real importance to us is to continue the continuation of the MWRA project. There's an allotment on there in order to continue. We're moving on to phase 2 of that project. So there's a request there for $9.9 million to begin construction of the big pipe that will ultimately have the capability of serving the entire town with water. And that's actually a major project that will take the phase 2A that we're talking about here is a pipe from approximately Adams Street here in Burlington down to the Arlington line. So it's a pretty substantial project. We are ahead of schedule, and the good news is that we are officially a member of the MWRA at this point. We've passed all the regulatory hurdles. Kudos to our Public Works team, John Sanchez and his team. As you know, I'm sure from a resident standpoint, this thing is going slow as molasses, but we're actually ahead of schedule. And we were pretty much lauded at every board and committee for how good of a presentation and an application we made to get in. And so we're very efficient at it, despite the length of time. It's just a long and lengthy regulatory and environmental process for that to happen. But as of the end of December, the emergency phase 1 line connection on Adams Street to the town of Lexington, which pretty much will allow us to replace the water that we lost on the well contamination. There's water flowing through it, so we're good. We have a little bit of protection. I don't think in the short term it's going to eliminate water use restrictions. So we still have a couple of years till we get to that big water source there with the phase 2 pipe. But certainly it gives John Sanchez will be able to sleep a little bit better at night, not wondering if we're going to lose the water system from a water break or something of that nature. We'll have the ability to tap into that emergency line.
Yeah, no longer trying to scramble at the last minute to come up with solutions. Usually on a holidays when it seems to happen.
Yeah, it's been pretty scary. I know he doesn't complain about it too much, but there are sometimes, particularly in the warm weather, where we can barely make enough water to serve the town during the warmer months. So if we have a water break or something unusual, it really puts the system in danger. So we're very happy to have that emergency connection and the ability to get water through there.
Excellent. And anything else on the warrant of note, or are those the two big things?
Those are the two big things that come to mind right now, Rich. I'm sure there's a request for a new position at the Board of Health.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of there's a zoning article to sort of clean up the zoning bylaws, sort of housekeeping amendments type of thing. And there's some fairly routine financial transactions that we do annually at January town meetings. So.
Yeah, and if anyone is interested in learning more about the Board of Health position, actually just taped a special with Chairman Dr. Ed Weiner and Vice Chair David McSweeney, so people can find that on our website and get all the details. A full half an hour just about one position. So I guess the other big question about town meeting, obviously this summer we had it outside on the field. In September it was sort of a hybrid model. So what's it looking like for January? We're still obviously dealing with the pandemic. So what are the plans?
Our town clerk and our moderator have the situation under control. They're really doing a great job in trying to, again, deal with our upcoming town meeting. It's going to be a mostly virtual town meeting. We do have some town meeting members that have challenges with technology, whether they don't have access to internet or computers. So we will be making accommodations for them up at the high school and safely under the rules of the Board of Health, safely separated so that they can participate in the meeting as well. But we do expect that the majority of the meeting will be held virtually on a WebEx format, similar to what we did the last time.
Okay, it's going to look a bit like September. A couple other things that are going on. One, we just mentioned the Board of Health, so let's jump back to them. This week they did start vaccinating first responders. What are you hearing about how that's been going?
It's been going great, Rich. And, I can't take enough opportunities to commend the Board of Health and our staff at the Board of Health, Director Susan Luminello. They are just extremely efficient, extremely professional. And, we were one of the few towns that were allowed by the state to, accept these vaccinations for first responders and do it on our own. Many other communities just didn't have the delivery mechanism that our Board of Health has. So we were able to do it ourselves as opposed to partnering up with several communities. I spoke to Dr. Weiner just a few minutes ago, actually, and I believe we've already vaccinated approximately 120 first responders. It's going very well, and we're really happy that they're able to finally get this protection. I mean, they've been dealing face-to-face with COVID patients since this thing started, and I think it's going to be quite a relief for them and their families to have been vaccinated and have some form of protection against the virus.
Excellent. Yeah, I was there on Tuesday, and it looked like a very efficient system. So things seem to be going quite well. A couple last things, just things that we've talked about in the past that finally sort of come to a conclusion. One is a liquor license for the proposed Beer Works project that seemingly is a story that we've been covering since 2 years, 3 years now. Just talk about how that finally wrapped up.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, the Burlington Beer Works Corporation just decided not to renew the license. So we had been, giving them quite a bit of time to try to dispose of the license, giving them a fair shot. But at the end of the day, after this period of time, they just determined that it wasn't worth their while to continue on to try to market the license themselves. So that license has come back to the town. So the town has a license available and for, town-wide. And I do believe we've already received at least one inquiry about it. So that's a pretty good thing. And again, as you know from covering the meetings, it was a long process. There's a legal process involved there. And, we wanted to be fair to the company. They had made an investment in the license, so we wanted to offer them a fair opportunity to dispose of it and try to recoup some of their investment. But at the same time, it really is good to have back with the town. Hopefully we can find a suitable business that's interested in it and put it back out there so that it's generating revenue for the residents and for the town's operation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a good asset for the town to have.
Yes.
And last thing, again, I think we talked about this last month, but just the end of the Beeline and the new project underway to sort of give more like door-to-door transportation to residents that need it?
Yep. Unfortunately, the new program started just before COVID. So although we had begun receiving very positive feedback from those that were using it. I think that the fact that the pandemic came in has sort of tempered that a little bit. We're fairly confident that we got the word out to anybody that utilize the Beeline, that there is a new system. We did a ton of outreach, just from anecdotally from seeing the buses go by. There's been very few riders for a long time. I mean, I'm sure that is even worse based upon the pandemic. But at the end of the day, we gave as much notice as we could, and we even extended it an additional 6 months because of the pandemic, just to make sure that, anybody that used the Beeline regularly was aware of the new program, how to get signed up, and, so that we can transition them over there. It certainly wasn't our intention to leave anybody without an option. But unfortunately, the usage of that bus transportation had just become so low that it was really not a great idea to keep that running. It was, it would be more efficient to, buy folks cars. You get how much it was costing us per actual ride. And it's really sad because I grew up in the city, so I'm a firm believer in public transportation. For some reason, out here in the suburbs, it just became ineffective over time. We're not happy about it, but Burlington and the suburbs are generally a place where people use cars to get around. And again, we wanted to set up a program that would be able to serve those people that needed it the most. I think we have a good program, and I think that the service provided with the door-to-door, the Lyft service, I think people have thought very positively about it. It's a direct route from their door to wherever they're going. They can actually take it out of town if they want to. I mean, again, paying the difference to get further, but It's not a fixed route, so it gets them where they want to be. And again, we don't have as great a data as we would hope to at this point in time because of the pandemic. But when we started up the program, the initial feedback we were getting was very positive from those that had figured it out and started using it. So we're grateful for that.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the convenience of being taken directly where you need to be, is definitely a positive for people who are going to use the new system. So.
Yeah, I mean, on a cold day, waiting at a bus stop, I mean, the new service goes door to door, and again, it takes you exactly where you want to be, maybe not just near where you want to be, and we're really confident in the new model that once we get past this pandemic and people we're able to get more and more people signed up for it, that it will be very effective, and we think we're going to get a great response on it.
Excellent. All right, well, there we go. First town administrator update of the new year.
Good to be here, Rich. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you taking some time. I know you're always busy and got town meeting coming up and all the other things going on. So, thank you again for coming on and Zooming with us today.
Thanks for having me, Rich. Pleasure to be here.
Excellent. We'll talk to you next month.
Thank you.